Hi there, and welcome to your General Induction to Chartered Accountants Ireland and the CAP2 programme. My name is Brian Rankin with Chartered Accountants Ireland, and I hope you find this information helpful. You're very welcome to your programme, and we hope you enjoy the year or your years ahead. This presentation is going to be particularly relevant to new CAP2 students who I hope find this information helpful. So, for those who are new to Chartered Accountants Ireland, let's talk about who we are. Who are Chartered Accountants Ireland? Well, we're Ireland's largest and longest established accountancy body, established in 1888. Also, we're the biggest accountancy body in Ireland now, with over 29,000. I think we just turned the 30,000 membership mark. We're also the largest educator of accountancy students in Ireland, with over 6,600 students. Chartered Accountancy is the premier accountancy qualification. In reality, chartered accountants are the elite of finance and the business world. And we're also the leading voice of the accountancy profession and in business here in Ireland and around the world. What do we do then? What does the Institute do? Well, we're involved in training, support, recognition, and membership. We're involved in the training, both the student training and in training and professional development when you actually become a member of the Institute. Supporting your qualification both here and abroad, it covers a wide number of areas, and we're involved right across the board in promoting and assisting in the recognition of your qualification. And as a membership organisation, we're involved in the full remit of membership support activities. So, moving on now, and then just to focus on you, the student, the CAP2 student, and your journey right now, whether that is beginning at CAP2 or whether you're a progression student already coming from CAP1, your journey to this point. What you'll be encountering from this point on may well be very different to your experience with education before. And right now, obviously everything is different with the pandemic and COVID-19 still around and still all our minds. So professional education is different and different to what you may have come from at third level in university. It's a mix of part-time applied education combined with the generation of practical on-the-job relevant experience. So in that way, it's very different to a college environment. When you're a student with us, you'll be working usually in an accountancy or a finance or a tax role or something, gaining quality, relevant accounting experience, because we expect the qualified chartered accountant to hit the ground running and start adding value to clients and to employers from day one. So importantly, there's no natural divide between experience and education. So for you, this is all about balancing the competing pressures that you'll encounter from full-time work and part-time professional education during the months and years ahead. But don't worry, we'll get you through the process. There's support at every step of the way, all explained later. So importantly, possibly one of the most important questions you're going to have right now is, particularly if you're new to the Institute and you're coming in at CAP2, where do I access all this education? Where do I access the learning, all my lectures and the learning materials, etc.? And the answer to that is through our online education portal called the Learning Hub. If anyone has any experience of using Moodle in college, maybe, or as an online learning portal, well, ours is based on that. It's very intuitive and easy to navigate. And for instance, this is what you'll see on screen if you're a financial accounting student, and exactly the same sort of format applies at CAP2. You'll get all your login details a few days before commencement date for CAP2. And by way of training, we've created a couple of other videos on this section of the website, which brings you through all the different tools available, how to log in, if you've forgotten your password, how you log in initially, all that sort of thing, etc. Please note that when you log in for the first time, you're not going to see all the material for the full year. Instead, what you're going to see is just the first tranche or section of learning materials covering the first half of the academic year for CAP2, all the way to around about January 2022, with the second tranche of materials released just shortly after that. So here we have just a quick guide to the Learning Hub and what you're going to see. So the first screen here is my email address, Brian Rankin at Chartered Accountants, and this is what you're going to see for the first time when you click on the link to access the Learning Hub. Firstly, you're brought to a login page where you can insert your login details. You should refer to your initial welcome to the Learning Hub email that you'll have received on the steps on how to log in and the passwords to use, but that's the screen you're initially going to see. Secondly then, when you log in, you're going to see the dashboard, and this is a dashboard from CAP1, and CAP2 is exactly the same, where you're going to see all the subjects to which you're enrolled. All you do is to simply click on the subject that you want to enter. Then, when you've clicked on one of the subjects, and in this case it's financial accounting at CAP1 to continue using that subject, you'll see a short introduction at the top, as well as a progress bar to show how many sessions you've completed. You'll scroll down to navigate to the session that you'd like to enter. And lastly, here we see an actual session, what a session looks like and the different elements within that session. At the top, we see we have a learning journal, and this is like an intro to the session, the context and table of contents there also. Then we see a set of slides with all the learning content. Then below that, we have a set of videos that our lecturing team has recorded. They're all very short because that reflects best practice in online learning. Essentially, you learn better and quicker in short bursts. Then below this, what we have some practice questions that reflect exam standard questions, and also with the solutions provided. We also have a discussion forum for you to pose any questions that relate to that session. Please insert only questions that relate to that session, not general exam questions or technology questions or general program questions, etc. Just questions that relate to this session. And then what happens is the lecturers will pick up those questions and respond to you. Then below this, and to close out the session, we have a knowledge check with usually 10 multiple choice questions and answers. It's not reported to your firms or your employers. It doesn't represent an exam or anything like that, but it's just a chance for you to check in with yourself to see how much you've learned in that session. Then the second component of your learning is done through live webinars. And here we have an example of a CAP2 webinar. It's actually the induction, the intro webinar from CAP2 audit. And here we see the team. So let's just give you a general sense of what the webinar looks like. Webinars are provided across each subject at CAP2, and they complement the recorded materials, the slides, the question pack and solutions, and any other learning components that we have on the Learning Hub. So as I say, here's an example of CAP2 audit, and this is available at CAP2 in the Learning Hub at the start of audit in session 0 at the very top of the introduction session. The most important point to note when you're starting off is to be aware that the live webinars aren't the equivalent of attending teaching lectures. All the teaching of new items of learning, of new concepts, all the actual learning is designed to take place on the Learning Hub, not in live webinars. Instead, the webinars follow a couple of Learning Hub sessions, and in the live webinar, lecturers take you through some exam questions relevant to those sessions in the Learning Hub. They'll also talk you through the practical application of some learning principles, but you won't actually do any of the learning in the webinars. One of the main values of the live webinars is that it gives you, the student, a chance to connect in a live format with our lecturing team, and you can ask questions and get them answered in real time in the webinar. And if we don't get to answer all questions, don't worry, we'll close out on each question the following workday. While we strongly urge you to attend each and every webinar live, we also record them so you can watch back on any you've missed or for revision purposes. You'll get invitations to attend webinars via email, and please refer to the timetables section of the Institute website and keep all those times clear. Finally, one important request we'd like to make: in registering to attend a webinar, please do use the same email address that you originally used in enrolling with the Institute. Moving on then, and this again picks up the difference between third level and part-time and professional education, which is a balance between work and study and other life commitments. And an important concept here is the competency statement, and information is available on the competency statement, which is the overall dictionary, I suppose, of the particular subject that you'll be looking on. It's a very important document, and you'll find everything that will appear in your examinations in that competency statement, so there's no surprises. What the competency statement basically covers, it's everything that you'll be learning in your program, be it CAP1, CAP2, and indeed onwards into FAE. It covers the full syllabus, it gives you all the details and everything that's going to be covered within your exam. You'll find the competency statement for each subject in the Learning Hub and also in the CAP2 section of the website. So it's a very important document and one to reference on an ongoing basis. So I touched on the unusual circumstances that we continue to find ourselves on at the moment. As you know, all education will be delivered exclusively online for this academic year in order to adhere to public health guidelines. So just as we're having to get used to a completely new way of education delivery online, we'll be asking you to approach fully online professional education differently this year. To be successful with online education takes a much more active, committed approach, and we're flagging this to you at the very start of your studies. There'll be much more responsibility placed on the individual student to take ownership of your studies and manage your time to get through a packed syllabus. The Learning Hub will record your activity on the platform to ensure no one falls behind, and you'll get reminders via email to complete a session, but it's going to be up to you to manage your progress. So, for instance, when it comes to attending live webinars, which will be focused on exam questions and solutions, you'll be expected to have done all the session work that's detailed in the timetables, all that pre-work beforehand. This slide also covers a number of tips for success that we've generated on the back of the first full year of exclusively online education. And we have a number of points here that we'd ask you to take away. Firstly, the importance of owning your learning experience, and the responsibility is yours. It's the easiest thing in the world just to switch off and postpone your study time to maybe closer to the mocks, and that would be a mistake. Start now and start as you mean to continue. The responsibility is yours to look after and to look after your journey and to be successful in your exams, and it starts from this point on. Other points here are really important, and you can reflect on this in your own time if you want to hit pause. It's about prioritizing your time. Also looking after yourself, taking care, recognize your highs and lows, ask for help, and you see some of the other points that are listed here. We have a support service within Chartered Accountants Ireland, which is available to students and to members, CA support. Please take time to look at that on the website. You'll see a section on CA support on the Institute's website, charteredaccountants.ie, and that has lots of useful information on helping you to look after yourself during this academic year. Back to the syllabus then, and here you'll see where CAP2 and the CAP2 subjects fit in the overall program and the path to become a qualified chartered accountant. It's a template, I suppose, and this template gives you the snapshot of the full course and education program from CAP1 all the way to FAE and the topics which are examined. Importantly here, you'll see the CA diary that underpins the whole of the education that is ongoing through the course of these 3 years. And it's the CA diary that's the system that we use to track professional development and to allow you to log your practical work experience. It is a section, I suppose, a part that students sometimes at the start overlook. It's best not to. Really start logging your experience at the very start. And we'll touch on this in a later presentation from Nicola, who's a member of the training support team who look after the CA diary and help students with the logging of their practical relevant experience. Moving on then to another important principle that's at play in professional education and specifically for Chartered Accountants Ireland, and that's the cumulative principle. So our program is based on this cumulative principle, which is all about building blocks. So topics are examined at I suppose a fundamental and understand level, if you like, at CAP1, and this builds to a much more technical level at our subject here at CAP2. Then in the final year at FAE, it's not that you'll be learning a lot that's absolutely new. The important concept here is that you'll be applying this knowledge in a practical business situation. And here, just to illustrate that point, is where each of the subjects at CAP1 matches over to CAP2, just to illustrate this point. We'll be mentioning the support team available throughout this presentation, but it's good to know that you have your own education support team at CAP2 within Chartered Accountants Ireland. And the CAP2 email address for any queries or issues that you might have about the actual education delivery program, this should be addressed to cap2@charteredaccountants.ie, and we'll be giving you that email a little bit later. But the support team is all about helping you through with any questions that you might have in the course of the academic year. There's also separate exam support for each program, and in this case for CAP2 it will be CAP2 exam singular, CAP2 exam at charteredaccountants.ie if your query relates to any of the exams. Our disability officer can advise of any reasonable accommodations should you wish to avail of those. And as I also already mentioned, the training support team look after our flexible students and also advise on the CA diary and work with students in that regard. Book collection then, and in response to the ongoing situation with COVID-19 and in compliance with public health guidelines, our textbooks will be dispatched by our distributor, Shanahan's, who will contact the student directly once their enrolment has been processed. So at this stage, at early October, distribution has already commenced for our CAP2 students, and then we'll go onwards to our remaining program FEE. If you've got any queries, please address them to textbookqueries@charteredaccountants.ie. Here you see on the screen a copy of the email that you're going to get from the book distributors and the couriers indeed who will be contacting you. It's important here that once you receive that, do keep an eye out for this email and then confirm that all the details are correct. You need only reply if there's a change of address details for the textbooks to which they're going to be, the address to which they're going to be sent out and dispatched to. So do keep an eye for the email coming from our couriers and our book distributors. Do keep an eye on your spam, on your trash, just in case it happens to go in there over the next couple of weeks. But rest assured that our textbook distribution is already ongoing and has gone very smoothly at CAP1. We anticipate it'll do similarly at CAP2. Timetables then, and another one of the big questions that students may have: where do I see my timetable? Well, this year all of our materials are available in 2 releases or 2 tranches, and I've already touched on this a little bit earlier. So the first release will be available to students upon course commencement at CAP2, and that should take you to around about January, after Christmas, January 2022, upon which the second release of materials will happen, and that release will obviously take you from that point to the end of the program and ahead of the exams. Our timetables are already live. They're already posted to the timetable page on our website, charteredaccountants.ie, and they cover the full academic year for CAP2, ROI and NI. Your first webinar for CAP2 for both ROI and NI is on the 12th of October, and materials were released 2 weeks beforehand in preparation for that webinar, so that you can have a full study completed for session 1 in respect of those webinars. Another one of our supports then, and it's one of the special services for our students, is the Bottom Line online magazine. It's the name of the student-focused version of our member magazine, Accountancy Ireland. So over in the Bottom Line, that team pulls together stories of interest to our student population, and there's also good material for dropping into exam questions, so it's well worth a look. You'll see the stories in the Accountancy Ireland section of the website, and you'll also receive alerts to your email when the next edition of the student magazine is available. Attendance then, and this is another query that students have about the reporting of attendance and what that represents. So we record your attendance and your engagement with the learning materials on the Learning Hub for a couple of reasons. It's a requirement of some training firms, and it's also an opportunity to track to see if any student isn't perhaps keeping up as they might have been and may therefore need intervention. So it's a very positive thing for ourselves and for students. It's also an opportunity to assess how students are engaging with our online learning materials, particularly if this is their first year and they've come in directly at CAP2. Attendance this year will be a combination of webinar attendance and engagement data generated from the Learning Hub platform. So when you join an online webinar, you'll have to fill in your information, including your student number and your training firm. And in that way, a report is generated which shows if the student has attended and engaged during the webinar. So your attendance is a mix then of attending the live webinars on a live basis, and also how you have engaged, what you have opened, the materials that you've opened on the Learning Hub in each of those sessions that I've already talked about. And overall, the overall picture of attendance will be a blend of both of those areas. Key dates then, and again, on the Institute website, you're going to see some key dates for the academic year. Do have a look at those. Between this and the CAP2 timetable, these are really key resources for planning ahead and planning your year. So at this stage, note your main exams, note when the mocks are on, note when the assessment window for F4 is taking place, when the results are out. All of that information is available right now and good to reference at this stage. Moving on to exams then, and chances are you're already thinking about exams even at this early stage, which is great. So some time ago, we moved to online exams, exclusively online exams via an e-assessment platform. And overall, its success in all of the years that we've had e-assessment means that we continue on that basis going forward. All agreed dates for exams, interim exams, and mocks are now available to view on the Institute website under the exams section of the website. And importantly, we have a wealth of resources available to get you up to speed. So please, at this stage, take the time to acquaint yourself with all the information, all the jargon to do with online exams, so that you're already au fait with all of the requirements of e-assessments. Look at those videos, engage with the resources, read the PDFs that are there. There's a wealth of materials, but they're only as good as the students that read them. So please take the time to look over all of that material. Here's a screenshot of where that information is available and what you can avail of. Student surveys are always important to us, but never more than this year as we embark on our second exclusively online education provision year. The usual surveys in December and January that we'll launch cover the course as a whole, but in addition to that, we'll be aiming to get feedback from you on each specific subject, and even on a per webinar basis, we'll reach out to see how you felt that webinar went. So at this stage, our big request to you is to please engage with us. Let us know how it's going. Take part in our surveys and give us your feedback. It's hugely valued and will be listened to. So our contact details then, and who will be assisting you. So at CAP2, it'll be myself, Brian, as program leader, and our team will be Connor and Laura, and Mairead will also be working with you on our CAP2 team. Our education support team between Connor, Laura, Mairead and myself at CAP2 will be there to administer the courses. We'll be there to assist with any inquiries that you'll have and to pass those on directly to lecturers if they're not coming directly to lecturers via the discussion forums. And it's also an opportunity to provide an avenue for feedback on the courses, so please do avail of that. Here are the contact details then finally for you to contact us, and I've already mentioned a couple of these earlier in the presentation. So the main address for you will be cap2@charteredaccountants.ie. If your query is a general student query or it's to do with admissions or enrollment, anything like that, student queries at the top, studentqueries@charteredaccountants.ie is the one to use. And if your query is in relation to exams, it's singular cap2exam@charteredaccountants.ie. Our telephone numbers and also our social media addresses are there should you wish to follow us. And that's the end of the presentation. I'd like to thank you for joining me on this CAP2 induction. And if you have any queries, please contact us at the email address here. Otherwise, I'd like to wish you every success in your CAP2 program in the weeks and months ahead. Thanks and goodbye.
Hello everybody, my name is Nicola Sullivan. I am a member of the team in the Training Support Unit in Chartered Accountants Ireland. And in the Training Support Unit, we look after the CA Diary of Professional Development and any queries that you may have around the professional development piece. So I'm going to talk to you today a little bit about the CA Diary of Professional Development. First off, what is the CA Diary? The diary is an essential online instrument for documenting and approving relevant work experience during the entire training period. And something important to note here is that the CA Diary is not something that's updated at the end of your training period when you've finished exams. It is expected that you will keep the diary up to date throughout the entire training period. The CA Diary is integral to the student journey and admission to membership. So as we look down the line towards admission to membership, you need your completed exams, but you also need a completed CA Diary to be eligible to join the Institute. So the purpose of the professional development piece is to show us that you have acquired a group of core mandatory skills and competencies throughout the training period. Depending on your educational background, you will be assigned either a 3.5 year or a 4-year training period. 3.5 years is the average that most trainees will complete. And throughout those years, you will be demonstrating to us through the CA diary that you have acquired these professional values and interpersonal skills, that you have an awareness of the business environment, and those competencies are what we would refer to as your core generic transferable skills. And then as an add-on to that, you also have to demonstrate that you've met one group of functional competencies, and they could be from the auditing group, the finance group, tax, or IT. We do have a recognition of prior experience policy, which can recognize prior experience up to a maximum of 18 months. And if you are entering the program with any prior experience that you would like to get recognized, please do reach out to us at Training Support and we can help you. So, the principles of the CA diary are really learning through reflection on work experience. And this is a fantastic practice to get into, reflecting and evaluating back on your own work. The CA diary is a portfolio of your learning and development. It's an excellent tool to tap into throughout your career. When you're going for job interviews, you can look back on the CA diary and take examples for interviews of all those wonderful competencies that you've achieved throughout your training. The CA diary is your responsibility, so it is the responsibility of the trainee to update the diary with at least one entry per month. You should set review dates with your mentor. Keep on top of your mentor. Make sure they're reviewing your diary entries. Make sure they're completing 6 monthly reviews. Use the supports available to you. So you will see under Student Centre on our website, there is a page called CA Diary Resources. And on that page, you'll find lots of PDF guides, video tutorials, and recordings of recent webinars we have delivered, and use all of those supports available to you. Your goal is ultimately admission to membership. In order to be eligible for admission to membership, you need your exams, the education piece, and your experience demonstrated through the CA diary. So don't panic. Please don't panic. Support on the CA diary is available to you. There's lots of, as I said, recorded tutorials and webinars available. We do recommend recording at least one diary entry a month. If you ever have any queries, concerns, anything you would like to discuss regarding the CA diary, please don't hesitate to reach out to us on trainingsupport@charteredaccountants.ie. And how do you gain access to the CA diary? 2 things: you need to have an approved contract, whether that's a training contract or a flexible route contract. So that must be approved. You must have a mentor assigned. If you're completing a training contract, your firm will assign a mentor. If you're on the flexible route, there is a flexible route mentor approval form on that CA diary resources page that you can see on the screen now. Once you have those 2 things approved, you're going to gain access to the online diary platform, and that is through Current Students, Student Centre, and CA Diary. You're logging in with your student number and your password of choice, and you're gaining access to that online platform to create your diary entries. All right, folks, that's everything from me. As I said, please don't hesitate to contact Training Support at charteredaccountants.ie at any time, and we'll be happy to help. Thank you. Stop recording.
Hello everyone, my name is Dee France and I'm the manager of CA Support. This is an additional service here at the Institute, and I'd just like to run through a couple of the services that we provide for you. So our mission is pretty simple. This is our guiding principle, and it's the sole purpose is to care for the well-being of every student and every member for life. So just a little bit about the history of this service. The background is we have been around for quite a long time, 1928, and we were founded originally as a benevolent fund. So that was primarily to provide financial assistance to members that fell on hard times. So these days we've evolved into a fully holistic service, and that's very much about a people-centered service and looking after the whole person, so around your mental and your physical health. These days we're a registered charity as well, and we have a donation-based model where all of our services rely on donations from members of the Institute. We're separate to the Institute. We sit alongside the Institute with our own board of directors, and we actually have a dedicated team to look after this service as well. So just moving on, so what is it we actually do? So as I say, our sole purpose is about empowering and supporting our students and our members. We like to think that we're a one-stop shop for all of your well-being needs, and we are all about providing those practical and emotional supports to you throughout your whole life cycle. And the most important aspect here is that we are free for everybody. So there is that's a nice benefit to you. These are the sort of points in this life cycle that you may sort of hit road bumps, if you like. So obviously you're here at the very beginning, and the kind of issues that you might encounter would be around exam stress or financial issues, or indeed that work-life balance that you're trying to obtain. And then as you move through your life cycle, there would be other obstacles in your kind of personal and your professional life that we would step in to provide support around. So the other services that we offer to empower you would be the confidential listening service. We have an outside third party that provides professional counselling. And we have in-house wellness coaching provided by one of the team. And indeed, those referrals over to the Institute for Career Coaching and Recruitment, a very good mentoring program that's in place. And then indeed, those CPD and lifelong learning, those sort of professional development supports as well. And then obviously we run lots of mental health and wellbeing events that you're very welcome to join. So then the other supports that we have is a dedicated website with very fresh content uploaded all the time, and we tune into our key charity partners, just some of them there: A List for Life, the mental health charity Shine, another mental health charity, obviously Drink Aware speaks for itself, and then that sort of youth program spun out as well. So we try to reach you on social media channels and then through the sort of more conventional newsletters. So we're obviously there talking to you and providing content all the while. So this is where you can reach us. Pretty straightforward, as I say. That's the dedicated website, and then we have a dedicated email inbox, and that's our telephone number. So just remains for me to say very, very good luck in your journey with the Chartered Accountants of Ireland. Thanks very much.
Hi, I'm Emma. I'm the current CASI chair. So today I just want to talk a bit about CASI and the regional societies and what they stand for and what they do. So to give you a broad overview, there's 7 regional societies and then there's CASI. So the regional societies are specific to each area. So for example, there's the Dublin Society, which is CASD, there's the Ulster Society and the Cork Society and so on. So where you sit your lectures depends on what society you'll fall under. So each of the regional societies host events which are specific to their region and their area. So these are events such as networking events, social events, mental health and well-being focused events, and educational events. CASI, on the other hand, is the overarching society which encompasses both north and south of the island. So CASI is very much chartered accountant facing. So instead of having, say, 7 chairs, Instead of having 7 chairs contact chartered accountants on different occasions throughout the year, we have a quarterly CASI meeting whereby all of the regional societies can come together, discuss any of the concerns which were raised in their region, and then CASI then escalate this on to chartered accountants. In terms of the positions on the societies, there's 7 positions on the CASI society and there's 6 positions on each of the regional societies. The 7 on CASI being the chair, the vice chair, the treasurer, the PRO, the secretary, the education officer, and then the 7th position, which isn't on the regional societies, is the events officer. So if you're interested, I'll just give you a quick overview. This is also our last AGM, which was 2020 and 2021. So this was actually the CASI AGM, which was held in February. So in terms of what we do, I know I've mentioned some of the things that we do, for example, representing your views and concerns and having social events, but we're here to help out if you have any queries for us. We work with chartered accountants to provide your feedback and give the student perspective on the education and exam programs. There's obviously more crack involved in being involved in the student societies. So for example, every year there are different regional activities which take place. In order to get involved, you're sent an email or you can follow us on our platforms, which I'll mention. But for CASI, there's one event, large event, which takes place, which gives students the opportunity to not just only network with their colleagues in their regions, but also network with students from across Ireland. This is usually held in the form of a ball down in Carlow, and it's a 2-day weekend away. So it's great crack. If you get the opportunity to attend, it's brilliant fun and I would highly recommend. Not that I'm slightly biased being on CASI, but to get involved with CASI or any of the regional societies, our AGMs for the regional societies are in October and November. So simply drop us an email or reach out to us on our Instagram or LinkedIn, and we can set you up with the regional chairs. And to get involved with CASI, our AGM is in February. So you can get involved by sending us an email. You just speak briefly at the AGM and then there's voting as the norm. It's obviously great to get involved. What's really great about CASI is it's an all-Ireland society. So you meet students from across the island, both north and south. So it's a great opportunity to network, get to know people from across Ireland. And yeah, so if you're interested in getting involved, feel free to reach out to us. Thanks very much.